so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be modifying the tutorial in the game. So currently we only have one tutorial, and I think I want to have 4 tutorials total. So let's go ahead and go take a look at our Confluence here. We're going to call it confluence. I'm sorry, it's called games.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Come on, baby, load. It's running on that FreeNAS behind me. We'll just move that over there until it loads up. Log in here. Just a second for my password. It's quite slow. Sorry about that. Okay. So here we can look at my space that I made here called There Is No Turning Back. And in this I want to create a new page. So here we'll do this. We'll create a new page. Where's the green screen? Asked John. I'm not using it today, but I've been using it some. How are you doing, man? I'm going to say that this is my tutorials. I'm going to have one for basic movement and to find the door. We're going to have one to building objects. We're going to have one for purchasing from the ferry. We're going to have one for upgrading abilities. And then we're going to have one for missions. Okay. I like the window office. Getting ready to head to DC. I get to spend a week in a hotel room. That's awesome. What are you headed out there for? Work thing? Let's go ahead and publish this just so I know that this is working correctly, because it's again running on that FreeNAS. Is your wife going with you? Unable to communicate with servers. See, that's what I was concerned about. So we'll just leave it like this for my text. And now what I want to do is take a look. Oh, look there, now it worked. And then what I want to do is take a look at my scriptable objects underneath my ferry. And she's got these dialogues here that I have in the tutorial. So here's the first one, and it looks like I have resources associated with each of these as well. So these things are a linked list, so one leads to the next here. If I looked at my resources, okay, would you like to learn how to play? Okay, let's get started. If you change your mind, I will be here. So I want to, and the first thing I want to do is have my selection of tutorials. So in the game, we're going to go into my home panel. And I'm going to open up my UI Canvas prefab. And in this, we can turn off my missions player panel. And I'm going to make a new panel in here called I'm going to call it tutorial type. Tutorial types. And let's go ahead and make this thing like 0.2, 0.2, and then 0.7 and 0.3. 0.25 and 0.75. Just me. I'm also going to let them... Ooh, why are you doing that? You got something else lined up? What's going on? Let's go to a 0.15 and a 0.85. Okay. And so now what I want to do is have another object on here that spreads the whole thing, and I'm going to call this my background. And I'm going to add on here a new image. And on this, I want to say it's a window. We'll use this one. And then this also needs to have on it a frame. So we'll add that on as a child. And we're going to call this the frame. And we want to make this, again, the size of everything. And then we want to give it a dialog, no, a window of 1. And we don't want to fill the center, and we don't want to raycast it. And we want to move this thing out 2 on each side. Okay, the next thing that I need to do is have another panel in here. And I'm going to make this an image panel. And we're going to make this thing like a 0.1, 0.1, 0.9, and a 0.9. Now this one, I want to make it 0.05 and 0.95. Nope, the other way was better on that. I meant to do 0.15, 0.05, and 0.95. Okay, and let's go ahead and make it all the same. That's a little too much, so 0.1 and 0.9 it is. And we'll just move it off. So we'll say 0.07 and 0.93. Okay, and on this one we want to give it another window, which will be this color. And I'm going to say this is called panel. And we want to raycast on that. And we want to give this one a frame. So we'll give it an image here called a frame, which is a window here. And we'll spread it across the whole thing and do a -2, -2 on all 4 sides. Turn off the center and turn off raycasting. The next thing that I need is a scroll window. So if I go into my UI and I created a scroll view, just thinking, hold on, is that what I want to do? Let me get rid of this. And we're going to add in here a new game object. And I'm going to say that this is my tutorial table. And I'm going to move this thing out to be almost this size, except for I want it to be smaller. And then I want it to be 0.05 off the bottom, maybe 0.1 off the bottom. 0.05 looked better. like that. And now on this, I want to have a header. And then I also want to have a table. And my header is going to be like that with a height of 25, 35. I don't need a header for this. So we can get rid of these two. And on my tutorial table, directly, I can add in here a vertical layout group. And we want to put this in the upper center. And now what I need to do is I need to have an empty game object that stretches across. And I'm going to make the height here 60. The width here, we want to say the child controls the width. 2, 3, 4. And then I can also say control the height. And on this, we're going to say that this is a tutorial type, tutorial basic movement. We're going to just call this basic movement. And on here, I want to add a TextMeshPro text. And I'm going to say one basic movement. And we can stretch this. And then we can put this in the very middle of everything. And change the font to be high melody. We can increase the size to be 60. On my tutorial table, I'm going to add a background to it. So we're going to modify this a little bit, and I want to add a vertical layout group on this one, which goes from the center like that. And I want to remove this one from the table. And this thing is going to be the same size. And I want to call this my grid. And then here I want to make a new game object called the background. Which goes across everything. And we'll add an image onto it, which will be the window color of this I want that color. So let me take a look at my panel, top, my dialog for my background. Underneath the panel for the character panel or the dialog panel, we're just using this color and Windows 0. Windows 0 and then this color. So back over here, change this to be window 0. and then we want to change it to be this color. And now on this background, I want to add a new image for the frame. And we need to spread that out and then do a -2 around it. And then we're going to change this to be a window. This one. We don't want to raycast it, and we don't want to fill the center. Okay. When I look at my basic movement here, we're going to change the text size of all of these. And I'm going to change this to be text. Okay, we're going to make them all 45, I think. So this is going to be purchasing and building. This one was going to be upgrading abilities. This is purchasing and building. This is going to be upgrading abilities. And this last one here is missions. Okay. The next thing that we need on this is the title. So back here on this panel, I'm going to create a new game object. And I want to bring it across the top. We're going to drop it just a little bit to be like -10. And we'll make the height like 40. And then the width, we'll do like that. And then on this, I'm going to say that this is my title. I want to make a new image called the background. And we'll spread it out and add in my dialogue. This one. And we want to go ahead and make this thing like a -5, -5, -5, and a -5. We can make this thing wider. And on top of this, I want to put this text, which is your text, and it's just going to say select tutorial. The text, we want to spread it across and then do like a -5 on it. We'll say 6. And then we can do the auto size on this one. There, like that. Okay. So it's almost there. We can make our whole panel here smaller. And then my panel here, we're going to say that this is my inner panel. I'm going to bring this one up to be 0.9, 0.85. Now I'm not exactly happy with that, so let me go back to this inner panel and we'll set the coordinates at the bottom. I want to say it's 75 here, and the height is, the height is 105. And then in my grid on these texts, I want to make these all auto size with a max size of 45. Now what's challenging is that it's changing based on your screen height for your inner panel. So if I was to move this anchor here, and this one here, I could put this at 0.035 and this at 0.825, 8.85, 0.83. Now it should properly stay in position when things get moved around. Okay, one thing I don't like is these things need to have some buffer on the text. And then this inner panel, I want to make it go a little bit higher. Okay, so the reason why that's happening is because title isn't set up as a proportion. So its position is going to be at here, and we'll bring our anchors down. And we're going to have this go from 0.75, 0.78 to 0.97. And this is 0.35 and this is 0.65. And now it should all work. And now everybody stays in their lane, no matter what perspective it's in. these things, we don't want to go the whole way. We want to go 0.1 to 0.9. Like that. Okay, the next things that I need is a selected panel. And so for this, we'll just put it over the whole thing. And then we're going to add a image on it. And it's going to be a window. Like this. And then we also want to give this a border. Call this a frame here. And we want to go ahead and say that the sprite on this is a window like this one with no fill and no raycast. Now I don't want this to raycast. My text but this one we do. Like that. And now we can go ahead and turn off these three like that. Okay, the last thing that we need are those buttons. So to do the buttons, we can just copy ones we already have. So if I look at here underneath panels for my yes and no, bring these in to my tutorial types. And we want to go ahead and give these things a button container, which is across the bottom of this. And we want to say it's got a height of like 45, and its position can be a little lower. Let's make it 35. And we can add in the buttons here. Now on this, I'm going to give it a horizontal layout group. And we're going to go ahead and give it some padding to the left and to the right, and some spacing in between. So I'm worried that that's not big enough for the button sizes, so let's go ahead and make it 45, and we'll drop it just a little bit more to be like -30. No, -28. -26. And we'll drop this to be 140 and 130 and 130. We'll just do 100 and 100 so they're bigger. Okay, you have your images here. You don't have any interactions on this yet, and that's fine. So I think that that's it for our tutorials type panel. So if I was to look at this one more time here for my selected, I want to make the left here 3, and I'll make the right 3. And now we're going to go ahead and save that as a prefab here in my UI under game. Okay. So we've constructed the tutorials type panel. We need to populate it with some scripts now. Before I go any further, what we're going to do is we're going to see if my rate limiting thing has gone away. So we'll start the game here. Okay. We get my response, which is 7 is good. This one has errors. I added in a 5-second delay here so that we don't get rate limited anymore. Order 8's already been used. Order 9's already been used. Ten is good. So we're going to change this to be 11 or 10. Why isn't it loading? I don't think this started. Okay, good. We're going to do a purchase here. We get this response data. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to go to my model that I'm deserializing this as. And I'm going to go ahead and do a edit, paste special, paste JSON as classes. We're going to bring up the errors because that one was working. And we're going to try it again. Crap. This needs to say params. We'll rerun this. Okay, give it a purchase. Fires over here. We get my deserialization this time. It says order has already been used. We go to the next one. Okay, we look at the response. It's not getting my parameters still. JSON utility property name equals params. This is JSON property. When I look at this, we're going to start at 12 now. Is it going to freeze up on me? Hey there, Sick Mofo. Welcome back to the channel. How are you doing today? Try it again. If I look at my Steam microtransaction implementation guide, the response that I'm looking for is it's just calling it params. Yeah. Now we got the parameters in there and the correct ones. So we'll write it, save it, and then map my purchase. Which is there. Solid. Okay. Back in here, we're going to change this to be 0. Let me go ahead and do a rebuild. And now what I think I'm ready to do is push this out to Steam so we can see if it works. So in my build settings, I want to make this a development build with script debugging, and we want to copy our PDB files. And then I'm going to build it into this folder here called 2.0.0.5-Steam. This will only take a second to build. Oh, we need to, in the backend, look at all the places in my responses. And we need to do this and make everything lowercase for each of them. Luckily, there's not very many of these things. Okay, that's 1. This is 2. Okay, we got to go do 3. 3's done already. 4. What up, Greg? How are you doing, man? It's good to see you. Okay. That's good. This one. The agreement. Yeah, I didn't get a Discord call this morning. I wasn't playing this morning. I think I played one game quickly. It was a big loss. And then this is the error code, error descriptions. Okay. The report. almost done. Yeah, no worries. I also need to send you the demo. Okay. 2 more. Okay, and then we have this one, which is IQAVI, and then E and E. And then the very last one is this one. Like that. Okay. Yeah, I'll be sending it here probably today. Let's go ahead and do a run on the back end. Looks like I made the wrong kind of package here, because I want to make a not development build. Give it just a minute to build here. Okay, that's done. So we're going to bring this now into the C drive underneath my SDK for Steam, and it's under Tools, Content Builder. The first thing we need to do is bring in the new content. The second thing I need to do is run the Steam command right after I log out of everything that has to do with Steam. Okay, and now we can run Steam command. We can do a login. I need to add a password, just a second. Okay, back with you. And now to upload this, we're going to go to the scripts folder, and I do a run app build at this path for my VDF file, which contains all of my configurations for Steam, and it runs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Steamworks. Just make sure I'm not showing anything I can't. And I'm going to go into the app admin underneath my builds. And I'm going to set this one live. Okay, that's done. So now we can do a logout and then an exit. And then we can start Steam. Doesn't seem to be loading, huh? Try it again. Come on, Steam. There we go. Let me put my password in here. Okay, back with you. Okay, it's updated. We can now launch it. Wait for it to load. Okay, we can issue our purchase. It worked. It's going to go ahead and fire this out and try to do my initial purchase. That looks good. And then it's going to bring up my Steam thing. So we'll do this. Give me just a second here to do this. Okay, it's been authorized. We're going to go ahead and click authorize now. It fired and hit Steam Final. And my request has an ID. So we're going to go check out what happens here. We're going to get my purchase finalized, set everything, and then return it. And that should have purchased my items here. So it's working. So the next thing that I need to do is on the, when you finalize the purchase, it also needs to apply the items. And after that, we're done with the Steam integration. So yeah, it's really exciting. I'm out of time for now. I'll be back probably in like 6 hours, so 5 p.m. today, Pacific Standard Time. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in our Discord, discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Also, I put all these videos up at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. I'll put the links in the chat. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you a little later. Bye.